Welcome to African Folktales by Big Mark. Your story home. In a world where the truth is just a swipe away, she chose to live behind a screen. Lila's smile lit up every phone screen, but no one had ever seen her real one. Not once. Every photo, every video, every fleeting glimpse of her was softened by the perfect filter, flawless skin, sparkling eyes, a glow that seemed almost unreal. Her followers called her the digital queen, a beauty so stunning it was impossible to look away. But behind the pixels, behind the perfect angles and glowing highlights, Lila was hiding something far deeper than a little insecurity. She was hiding her true face, a face she dared not show, even to the one man she promised forever. This isn't just a story about love. It's about how the masks we wear can shape who we are, and what happens when the real and the filtered collide. Welcome to the tale of the girl who married a filter. Lila Morgan's phone buzzed again. Another message from a fan, another request for a selfie, another chance to show the world her flawless face. She smiled, tapped a quick reply, and flipped on her ring light. The light was warm, soft, perfect for highlighting every curve, every angle. She clicked open her camera app, choosing the filter she loved most, Sunbeam Glow. It smoothed her skin, added a shimmer to her eyes, and made her lips look fuller. To anyone scrolling through their feeds, Lila looked like a goddess. But behind the glowing screen was a different story. Lila's real face was softer, less perfect. There were freckles she had always tried to hide, a small scar just above her left eyebrow from a childhood accident, and a shy smile that didn't always match the confidence she projected online. The difference wasn't huge, but it was enough. Enough to make her wonder if anyone would really love her without the filters. She stared at the reflection in the phone's front camera before switching the filter back on. The screen smiled back at her, a girl every viewer wanted to see, every follower admired. "Keep it up, Lila," she whispered. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a fan. It was a text from Ethan. Ethan Cole was the kind of man who didn't care about filters. Broad-shouldered, with warm brown eyes and a laugh that filled a room, Ethan had met Lila 2 years ago at a charity event. They clicked instantly, not through likes or comments, but face-to-face, real conversation that lasted for hours. They had fallen in love the old-fashioned way, by sharing secrets, dreams, and fears over late-night talks. But even Ethan didn't know her real face. "Hey, you ready for tonight?" His message read. Lila took a deep breath. Tonight was the night they planned to announce their engagement. But Lila worried. Would Ethan be disappointed when people saw the real her? What if the image he loved wasn't the one everyone else had followed for so long? She dressed carefully for the evening. Her outfit was simple but elegant, a soft blue dress that hugged her figure just right, with delicate silver earrings that caught the light. Her hair was styled in loose waves, framing her face gently. Before she left, she looked in the mirror. Without the filter, the freckles on her cheeks stood out more, and her smile was a little less polished. But her eyes, the same warm brown as Ethan's, held the hope that maybe, just maybe, this night would change everything. The party was buzzing with friends, family, and cameras. Ethan stood by the fireplace, looking dashing in a charcoal gray suit with a crisp white shirt. When Lila walked in, the room seemed to pause. Everyone had watched her online, admired her digital beauty, but now they saw her, the real, unfiltered Lila. Ethan smiled, taking her hand. "You look amazing," he whispered. When they stepped onto the small stage to make their announcement, the crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. Lila smiled, this time with no filter, no digital mask, just her. But just as the applause swelled, a voice rang out from the crowd. "Wait a minute," someone said, holding up a phone with a picture. "Is this the same girl? She looks different here." Lila's heart sank. The photo showed her without any filters, natural and unedited. The room grew quiet. The smile she'd practiced faltered. Ethan's hand squeezed hers. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're still the same girl I love." But the question lingered in the air, how much of what people loved about Lila was real, and how much was a digital illusion? That night, after the party, Lila sat alone scrolling through comments and messages. Some were supportive, but many questioned her authenticity. "Fake," one comment read. Just another girl hiding behind filters. Lila knew the truth was more complicated. She wasn't hiding to deceive. She was protecting herself. Protecting a part of herself she wasn't ready to share. But now, with the world watching and her heart on the line, she had to decide, could she keep living behind the filter? Or was it time to show her true face, for better or worse? The morning sun peeked through the blinds of Lila's apartment, casting soft lines across the room. But despite the light, Lila felt heavy. She stared at her phone, the screen full of messages and notifications. Some were kind, some harsh, but all had one thing in common: they reminded her of the mask she wore every day. Lila moved to the mirror and studied her reflection. The freckles sprinkled across her cheeks, the small scar on her brow, details she'd edited out in every photo she'd posted. She brushed her fingers lightly over the scar and sighed. "I can't keep doing this," she whispered. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Ethan. "Coffee." The message read simply. She smiled. Ethan was her anchor, the one person who seemed to understand the battle inside her. She replied quickly, "Yes." Now, at the small cafe on Willow Street, Ethan waited with a warm smile. He wore a casual dark blue shirt and jeans, his hair a little messy but charming. When Lila arrived, he stood and pulled out a chair. "You look tired," he said, studying her face closely. Lila forced a smile. "It's just the noise," she said, nodding toward her phone. Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. "You don't have to be perfect for me, Lila. Filters or no filters, I love you." She squeezed his hand, grateful. But inside, a storm brewed. How could she believe those words when so many others didn't? Later that day, Lila sat in her small studio apartment surrounded by lights, cameras, and a ring light that had become her constant companion. The walls were decorated with framed photos, most heavily filtered, showing the flawless persona she'd created online. But in one corner, hidden from view, was a small, unfiltered portrait of her, taken by Ethan. It captured her true smile, her real eyes. She looked softer there, vulnerable but genuine. Her phone rang. It was her manager, Jenna. "Lila, the comments are getting worse. Sponsors are pulling back. You need to address this." Lila bit her lip. "But what if I show my real face and lose everything? Then you lose the fake version. But maybe people will love the real you even more." That night, as Lila scrolled through her feed, she saw a video trending. An influencer had made a viral post about filter fraud, exposing people who hide behind digital masks. The comments were brutal. Lila's phone rang. It was Ethan. "Come over," he said simply. When she arrived, Ethan was waiting with a warm blanket and a quiet smile. His brown eyes searched hers. "Why don't you just be yourself?" he asked gently. "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if they don't like the real me?" Ethan shook his head. "If they don't, then they weren't worth your time anyway." Lila felt a tear slide down her cheek. For the first time, she felt seen, not for the filtered image, but for who she truly was. The next day, Lila made a decision. She would post a video without any filters. No edits, no enhancements. Just her. Her heart pounded as she hit record. She spoke honestly about the pressure to be perfect online, about the fear of rejection, and the struggle to accept herself. When she posted the video, the world watched. Lila stared at her phone, watching the view count on her new video climb faster than anything she'd posted before. But with the views came the comments, and they were a mixed storm. Some messages poured in with love and encouragement. "You're brave," one said. Another read, "Finally, someone real in this fake world." But others were cruel. "Why hide the truth until now? She's not as pretty without the filter," and worse. Her heart ached. For years, she had built her online world carefully, and now it felt like it was crumbling in front of her eyes. Ethan's text came through, steady and calm. "I'm here. Don't let the noise get to you." At the coffee shop where they often met, Ethan greeted her with a hug. "I watched your video," he said quietly. "You were incredible." Lila looked down. "But what if they never forgive me for lying?" "Lying?" Ethan shook his head. "You weren't lying. You were afraid. People do that all the time." Lila nodded slowly, but inside, the doubt still gnawed at her. Back home, Lila's phone rang. It was Jenna, her manager. "We've got a chance to turn this around," Jenna said excitedly. "There's a popular podcast that wants to interview you. They want to hear your story, the real one." Lila felt a spark of hope. Maybe this was the moment she could rewrite her story on her own terms. The podcast interview was nerve-wracking but honest. Lila spoke about her struggles with self-image, the pressure of social media, and the courage it took to reveal her true face. Her voice cracked at times, but she held steady. After the interview aired, something surprising happened. Messages flooded in from followers who admitted they had been hiding behind filters too, afraid to show their true selves. Lila's story was sparking a movement. But not everyone was happy. A famous influencer, Madison Lane, posted a video attacking Lila's honesty, calling it a desperate attention grab. Lila read the comments, feeling the familiar sting of doubt. But then she looked at Ethan, who was scrolling through the messages with a supportive smile. "You're stronger than this," he said. "And so is your truth." As days passed, Lila's followers grew, not because of perfection, but because of authenticity. People wanted to see the real her. One evening, Ethan surprised her with a simple gift, a framed photo of the two of them, unfiltered, smiling at each other under a golden sunset. Lila smiled through tears. For the first time, she felt like she didn't have to hide. The buzz around Lila's new honesty brought her both warmth and cold winds. Though many praised her courage, others whispered doubts and rumors. The line between friend and foe blurred. One afternoon, Lila sat at her kitchen table, sunlight spilling over the soft cream walls of her apartment. She wore a comfortable cream sweater and dark jeans, simple, real. Her hair was pulled back loosely, a few strands framing her thoughtful face. Her phone buzzed with a notification, a new message from an unknown number. "You're fooling everyone. The real you is better off hidden." Her heart sank. Who would say something so cruel? And why? Ethan arrived moments later, his tall figure filling the doorway. Dressed casually in a light gray sweater and black jeans, he carried a reassuring calm. "Who is it?" he asked gently, sitting beside her. Lila shook her head. "Just some troll." He took her hand. "Ignore them. They don't define you." But even as she nodded, Lila felt doubt creep in. How long before the digital mask she'd shed became a weapon against her? That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed every criticism, every harsh word. Was she strong enough to face this? The next morning brought unexpected news. Jenna called with an urgent tone. "Lila, there's a new offer. A documentary team wants to follow you, to tell your story from the beginning to now." Lila hesitated. Opening up to that extent meant risking everything. But it also meant owning her truth completely. In the days that followed, the camera crew moved into her life. They captured candid moments, her laughing with Ethan over coffee, practicing lines in front of the mirror, even the quiet tears she tried to hide. Ethan stood by her side through it all, his presence a steady anchor. But as the cameras rolled, old insecurities surfaced. One evening, while reviewing footage, Lila saw herself as others might, a girl unsure, vulnerable, far from the perfect image she'd once sold. She clenched her fists. "Is this who I really am?" Ethan hugged her. "This is who you've always been. And it's beautiful." The documentary's release was met with overwhelming support. Viewers praised Lila's honesty and bravery. Comments poured in from people inspired to be themselves. Still, the shadows of doubt lingered. Lila realized that truth wasn't just about showing her face, it was about accepting herself fully, imperfections and all. And with Ethan's love, she knew she could face whatever came next. The city lights flickered through Lila's apartment window as she sat quietly on the couch, Ethan's hand wrapped gently around hers. The journey they had traveled wasn't easy, a path filled with fear, doubt, and courage to be real in a world obsessed with perfection. Lila's reflection in the glass showed a woman transformed, not by filters or likes, but by the bravery to embrace her true self. The documentary had premiered the night before, and the response was overwhelming. Messages poured in, stories from people who had struggled with their own self-image, who found hope in Lila's honesty. But the biggest message came from inside. Lila had finally forgiven herself. She turned to Ethan, who smiled warmly, his eyes full of pride and love. You were always beautiful to me, he said softly. Lila smiled, tears glistening. And now, maybe the world can see her too. The following morning, Lila stood in front of her camera, preparing for a live stream. No filters, no edits, just her real voice. She spoke openly about her journey, the lessons she'd learned, and the power of authenticity. I'm not perfect, she said, and that's okay. What matters is being honest, with yourself and others. Her viewers listened, shared, and connected, a community built on truth, not illusion. As the live stream ended, Ethan took her hand and led her outside. Under the clear blue sky, he knelt, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Lila Morgan, he said, will you marry me? No filters, just us. Her heart soared. Yes, she whispered, her smile radiant and real. The camera captured the moment, not just the proposal, but the story of a girl who chose to live beyond the filter, who found love in herself in the unfiltered light of truth. And as the screen faded to black, the message was clear. In a world of masks, the greatest beauty is honesty.
Every story holds a seed of wisdom, and with each story, we grow a little deeper into the roots of our culture. If today's tale sparked a thought or touched your spirit, don't just keep it to yourself, share it. Let the story travel. Hit that subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let me know which lesson stood out to you. I'm Big Mark, keeping the fire of storytelling burning bright. Until the next tale, stay wise, stay proud, and keep listening.